So, welcome to episode 2 of Project Reach. Real talk, 1 second. Let me look at my camera here. So, in the past, I did these weekly messages coming off as preaching. And I wanted to kind of get away from that. In my heart, there would be nothing better for the entire world and entire addiction recovery community to come to know God personally, but I want to get a little bit further than that. See, one of the things that I want to accomplish with Project Reach is breaking boundaries in recovery, and going outside your normal thing, because I thoroughly believe, just through reading and studying different things, that there is a cure for this, as they label it, this uncurable disease known as addiction. So if that's the case, then it gets a whole lot further than, it goes a lot deeper than just, okay, your 12-step recovery programs and joining this organization and doing this and volunteering here and being surrounded by community and all this kind of stuff. So what I wanted to try to do with this particular movement of Project Reach is break those boundaries, man. I want to break those boundaries because, see, in my mind, all right, before I go any further with that, I did a 12-step recovery program. I did 14 months, like a 7-month in-house rehab, and then another 6 months, or another 7 months, in like a transitional housing type sort of deal, before I came back home to my wife and my children. Now, that was absolutely necessary for me in my particular point in life and with my addiction, because nothing else ever worked in the past. But the further I get into recovery, the more I understand that there's a lot more out there. And a lot of times, these typical 12-step programs, excuse me, my phone was ringing. Anyway, these typical 12-step recovery programs, in my mind, one, it's a great place to start. And if you need it, then you need it. But I also feel that there's a lot that doesn't really get covered in that. So that's what we're going to talk about. First, let me say that today I was supposed to have a special guest. They ended up not being able to be here today. Pray for that situation if you're a praying person. He has a grandmother that he takes care of who has, dementia, and it was a bad day for them. So today I do not have a special guest, but hopefully next week will be a little bit better on their whole parts, on everything that they've got going on. So today, with having said that, I wanted to kind of get into his personal story and let you hear from somebody else, because I truly feel that, the more people you hear from, if it's not just me all the time, the more people you hear from, then the more inspiration and more encouragement you're going to have to truly live free. And so breaking the boundaries of recovery is something that I definitely want to address here. So I want to ask everybody the question, and I want you to think about it. You can, if you're listening on anchor.fm/Project Reach, you can leave comments on this and, ask questions, give input, give criticism, whatever it is. And, I will do my best to get back to you. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, then please feel free to message me, hit me up. I want to discuss these things. I want to have real conversations with real people about real life and real struggles on this podcast. So let's jump in. Again, like I said, I had planned on someone else being here and kind of having a conversation with them, but that wasn't possible today due to extreme circumstances. So today I'm just going to kind of freestyle it again a little bit and see where it goes with this. So one of the boundaries in my mind about recovery that I find kind of ridiculous and that I don't think is truly living free. I went through, again, the 12-step recovery program and all this kind of stuff. And one of the counselors, I'm not going to mention the name because I really respect this guy. And if it's working for him, then God bless him and it's working for him. But in my mind, I don't think that that's truly living free. He once said in one of the classes that we had that he will not go inside of a gas station to pay for his gas. And this is, this isn't a month into recovery. This isn't 6 months down the road. This isn't 2 weeks down the road. I'm talking years and years and years. I'm talking 20, 30 years into recovery. This man still pumps his gas at the pump because he doesn't want to go in because that gas station might sell alcohol. So in my mind, okay, yeah, they talk about creating safe boundaries, but in my mind, how is that free? If you're listening, do you understand what I'm saying? How is it that you are living in freedom if you don't feel or have the freedom to walk into a gas station because your, quote unquote, drug of choice or your vice or your particular addiction is just lingering right there in the cooler calling to you? So that's the topic of today's episode. So what are we going to do from here? Are we going to spend the rest of our lives living the lie that we're told that we have an uncurable disease and we'll never be truly free from this unless we put up these fences and these boundaries? All right, so take it from my personal life. In early recovery, it was told to, stay away from bad places, stay away from bad people, don't hang around the old crowd, in which I get. I would not tell anybody to go hang out with your old group of friends if they're still pushing drugs or pushing that thing down your throat. But what I will tell you is you can't live fearful of the possibility of being put in a circumstance that you don't necessarily have control of. So the big question, the big thing, the big boundary, one of the big boundaries that I want to break here is put yourself in a situation. You need a job, you need money, you need to pay the bills, and nothing is coming up. And say your old profession was surrounded by nothing but a bunch of users, but you're skilled in it. Do you go back? Or do you just kind of hopefully, come across something else? Hold on to that thought. We're going to be right back. I have some phone calls coming in that are apparently very important. So, welcome back. That was a nice little break. I apologize. I had to take a phone call, and I'm going to have to cut this particular episode a little shorter than I'd like to. Hey, but again, this is Project Reach Real Talk, where we talk about real life and real situations, where I have a family. I have a wife and 4 children. One of them now needs my assistance, so I have to go and pick them up from school in just a minute. But first, before we end this, let me get back to the particular question at hand. So, do you live your life for the rest of your life with this fear and call it a boundary? Or do you break the boundary and realize that, man, the choice is yours no matter what your head tells you, no matter what your heart tells you, no matter what your past tells you? Do you break that boundary in order to do what is needed? Or do you create this new comfort zone? Because that's really what it is. Like you go through recovery, you break these comfort zones, and then in my mind, it's sort of creating another comfort zone at some point. Because let me tell you something, the gas station that I stop at all the time sells alcohol. The place that I work, I mean, I can't count them, but I'm 100% positive that, at least 75% of them, they're going out and drinking after work. They're probably doing drug deals in the back parking lot. I don't know, but I don't go looking for it, but I don't run from it either. And I think that's one of the boundaries. That's one of the what's the word I'm looking for? That's one of those fine lines, I think. Like early recovery, absolutely not. Years down the road, I mean, I think you have to make a choice that life is going to happen, and you have to go out and live it. And there is absolutely no telling, no way of knowing, what you're going to be presented with. And that's where the true freedom comes in. It's the freedom of, knowing that I don't have to live with this particular thing, or I don't have to listen to this particular lie. Or if my brain continuously tells me that, I'm an addict and I'm always going to be an addict and there's never a cure and there's never going to be a cure. And if this is going through my head, then I've always got something to fall back on. Oh, I slipped up. I, popped the top on a beer. Or I smoked a joint or something, whatever the case may be, but it's because I'm an addict. So think about that for a minute. Think about that for the next week or so if you're listening to this, and let me know what you think. If you're listening on YouTube or Facebook, like, please leave a comment and let me know what you think, because I want to have these conversations. I don't want to just watch you or have you watch me and listen to me rant and rave about my personal opinion and about what is working for me, because I want to have conversations. I want to talk real life and real situations. So that's it for this second episode. Join us again next week. We will hopefully have a special guest back here. Hopefully things work out to where he can become a possible co-host. So join us again. This has been real. This has been fun. And I think it's actually been real fun. So anyway, God bless you all. Talk to you next week.